Hello. So I've recreated my previous tutorial on Blender where I have linked duplicate of my original cube with shape keys. And I use them inside the geometry node that is on this cube. So I can blend between the shape keys within geometry node. And what we want is to create to duplicate this object multiple times and do some variation with those mix. But we can't use instance on points. Like if I add let's add a grid point, a grid, and use mesh as point. And if I use those as instances, realize instances, you will notice that since this is like a single object and it's repeated on all the points of the grid. So they all look the same. And what I'd like is to have one that is spike, one that looks like this here, and spiky ones all around, for example. So instead of using instance on points, we will use a for each loop. For each element. Why I have this geometry here? I can get rid of it. Okay. So first, I can get rid of the instance on point, get rid of realize instances, and I will take this mesh. And if I use the element, so we take the grid, we plug it to the for each element input, then we will output this geometry, and we should see some points. Okay. So now I will need the position of those points. So I will add a position. And we'll connect it here. And here I can add, instead of using this connection, I will use a transform geometry. And we will use this geometry, plug it here, and we have the position that goes here, the position of those points. And we go to translation, and then we have a similar result as with instance on points. So what we can do also is, for example, I will add an empty. Add this empty sphere, and I will drag it into my geometry node. And I will use a distance, vector mat distance, like this. I will use the object location by empty location. And then I will use it to transform, to use with this mix. And now we can see that the object in the center is spiky, and all the others are like this. So I could increase the size of my grid. Let's double it, 12 by 12, 6, 6. And also we are using the points, but what if I use the face? Okay, so now we are getting the position of each faces of each face of the grid, and we get this result. So I can use a remap or range, map range value, plug it here. Let's increase this minimum value, and you can see this, something like this. So now when I'm moving the empty, I get this kind of result, which is pretty cool.